of band is this?
Everybody poops sometimes.
Give us this.
Wake up, sweetness.
Your first time should be more than special.
I'm in, Savannah said. Good Lord, Gemma.
When a man and a woman, in this case, really, really love each other, what happens is they fuck.
Ooh, hello?
Oh, dang it, I lost my fish. This next word almost sounds like Quidditch. Quidditch milade Diana Agosiagath an Fiedian. As much as I love fucking you, sweetness, we stared into each other's eyes whilst I moaned in ecstasy. Having consumed half of the bourbon, I keep saying bourbon. You know, every time I mess up on a word, Stunt Mama just shows up.
She had her seductive smile on her lips.
I said we couldn't have sex. I didn't say anything about everything else. Ew. Happy to help, biatch. You are the spark of light in the vastness of my night. His note, like a finality to a beautiful, breathtaking song. Good evening. It is wonderful to see you all. I hope you've had a fantastic weekend so far. Or at least, you know, an enjoyable one. A weekend that you've appreciated, if nothing else. Yep. Oh, here comes the yawns. It feels like it's been a long weekend for me. Like, not long like, like I had nothing to do and time's dragged on. Just busy, long kind of thing. Made s'mores with the grands on Friday. Man, I haven't made a good s'more in forever. But instead of using Hershey chocolate, because that's not really chocolate, I would like to try it with like Dove chocolate, perhaps. Yeah. Stunt Papa, what's up, dude? How are you, sir? I hope you're all well. Mad Locust, it's always great to see you. That's your crazy puzzle, by the way, if you feel like jumping in. Stunt Mama's mama, of course. Love you're here. Love that you are here. I can read or talk. Phony, great to see you as well. How are things? Doing well, how are you? Got lots of gardening in today. Nice. Pulled beets out. Ooh. So sorry. Amended soil. Put carrots and beets in. And my dog just burst into the room. Grand number one has to have chocolate bar and a Reese's cup on his s'more. Oh, okay. All right. Gardening isn't that boring. I know. I'm just wiped. I got up this morning, or when I woke up this morning, I potted around on my phone for a little bit. I got up, did a couple things, and then an hour later, I swear, I could have gone right back to bed. My body's just tired. I don't know what it's been or why, but the past 3-4 days, like especially on Thursday, you saw how tired I was when I was reading Iron Flame in Discord. I was just not having it. My body's just wiped. It could be the kidney stone stuff. I don't know. But it's been wild. I think everything's just catching up to me. Give me 1 second. My door is not closed anymore because of a certain animal that decided to barge his way in. On the plus side, though, I got some new rings. So I've got one. I'll just pull it off here. They're not like overly detailed or anything, but they're like a good size 12 millimeter. And then I got 2 more over here. This one on my thumb has a bit of design to it, though. I'll see if I can. So it's got a bit of a detail to it. So that's been fun. So I'm getting used to wearing those. They're stainless steel, all black. And now I know what size I need. I may, swap them out for something else at times. We'll see. But getting used to those. Yeah. Eat your food, cool down, relax. Do your thing. We're going to get right into reading here pretty quickly. As I do some more yawning. So embarrassing. I wish I could quit doing that. Maybe some hot tea will help. Absolutely delicious. It was actually pretty decent weather here today. It was mid 70s. Nice breeze. It was still humid, but the breeze helped. And then this afternoon, I met up with my stepdad who came up he lives in Mexico now. He came up to visit his kids. But I met up with him at one of their houses so I could help with his book that he's writing. He needed some guidance on getting it ready to be published on Amazon, because there's a few steps. And in helping with that process, then we needed to kind of reformat his manuscript. By the time it was time for me to leave, we were about, I'd say 95% done with the whole process. So he just needs to finish up those last few bits, and then he should be good to go. So we'll see. We will see. All right. My bad. Wow. Welcome to my stream, yawn. It's ridiculous. I should do better. I should just be better, Be a better streamer. Okay. Oh, hold on. I just got a message I need to reply to. Okay. It's Sunday night, yawns happen. I know, but yawns seem to happen every time. What are you going to do? Okay. We're on chapter 16, page 158. Exciting. It's called The Lightning Fang. Up until this point, the battle had begun. Earlier than they expected, Merrick, Meridian's husband, the king, agreed with Zylock to take on some dark magic, which is temporary, but he agreed to do it, and she noticed, but wasn't going to question it during the middle of the battle, of course. And it looks like Merrick and Zalron are about to duke it out to see who's going to win. Zalron cracked his neck as he walked forward. I have to admit, it feels good to be back in Targus. It's almost like this place is home to me now. Your fighting skills are impressive, Merrick. Hello, Dark Hood, Merrick said irritably. It's Lord Zalron, you fool. His eyes shone purple as veins bulged on his forehead. Merrick smirked. I honestly don't care what you call yourself. Your reign of terror is over. I'm going to destroy you, here and now. Zalron slowly paced back and forth, keeping his eyes on his target the whole time. I don't think that's likely, but you can give it your best shot. Anyway, there's no reason to be so glum. After all, this is a celebration of your demise. Blue and red energy moved around Merrick as he walked forward. How are you even still alive? We've killed you on countless occasions, and yet here you are. And you specifically target my home. Why? Zalron shrugged. You're going to die anyway, so I might as well tell you. He grabbed a piece of jewelry around his neck and held it up, showing a small shard of glowing purple crystal. When I joined the Dark Council of Lord Malice, they offered me immense power. But I needed a means of insurance in case someone ever killed me. This crystal shard is from the Allstone. I bounded my soul to it so that I would remain immortal. If my corporeal body ever got damaged, I could simply jump into another one. Quite the useful trick, don't you think? The Allstone is a myth. You're lying, Merrick said, feeling his frustration rise higher. Am I? Zalron said, dangling his crystal in the air. Come closer, and I'll show you it's real. Merrick drew closer until he could see the trinket up close. Its edges sparkled radiantly with a purple hue of power. The way it made Merrick feel was something completely different. He felt as though he were on the edge of a cliff, looking into a black void of endless chaos. Shaking the feeling away, he crossed his arms. Fine. You've told me how you're still alive. Now tell me why you keep coming back to Targus. What do you want from us? Zalron put his necklace back underneath his garments. In the past, I always came here because of Zylok. That imbecile killed me when I was in my original body, and I've held a grudge against him ever since. However, this time I'm here for you, Merrick. Your body is to be my new host. Frankly, I'm tired of these weak mortal shells that I've had to play with. You're going to be my new body, and that's why I'm here. You'll have to kill me first. Merrick raised his hands for an attack. I don't want to kill you, Merrick. No, I want you to remain alive for a while after I've taken over your body, so you can suffer and watch the world around you burn. I'll start by turning everyone here into followers for Lord Malice. Then I think I'll toy around with your family until I get bored. Then I'll slit their throats as you watch. That's if you give yourself to me willingly. If not, I'll just kill everyone here. So, what's it going to be, Merrick? The easy way or the hard way? Merrick scowled in frustration. Giving up his body? That wasn't what he expected, and there was no way he'd allow it to happen. Just got notification that you're alive. Made me look. That is a bit odd. It's only been, what? I don't know. How long has it been? Normally I can see a time. Where's the time? 12 minutes? 22 minutes? I don't know. Turning around, he locked eyes with his wife and smiled. Destroy him, Merrick. End this here and now. Zylok gave him a thumbs up. Just had to clear my throat there. Zalron cackled evilly. Still ever the optimist? I can't wait to rip your bones out of your body and fashion them into garments. Merrick engulfed both of his hands with energy and smiled. I've never been one for the simple path, so give it your best shot, you beast. Zalron's smile extended as more lightning danced around his body. The hard way, huh? I was hoping you'd say that. Merrick shouted at Zylok, get everyone inside the energy barrier and keep them safe. I'm ending this. As soon as he turned back, he realized his enemy had disappeared. Yet he could still sense evil nearby. Focusing energy into his eyes, he studied the surrounding area. Dust flew up in different spots on the ground, each coming a few seconds after the last. Was his enemy really moving that quickly? Or perhaps he was just losing his mind. No, he was definitely seeing footprints left over the ground. He was beginning to pick up on the movement of his enemy, but as he was going to send an attack forward, steamy hot breath touched the back of his neck. Looking for me? Merrick couldn't believe how quickly his enemy had gotten behind him. Thinking quickly, he threw up a body barrier, and then, without even meaning to, he phased, putting himself behind Zalron. With a forceful blow, he sent the villain flying into the castle's barrier shield. He looked down at his hands, gawking at the amount of energy pouring out of them. He hadn't even meant to phase, and he'd simply done it. Is the dark magic somehow messing with my mind? Did Zylok's spell fail? Merrick shook out the negative thoughts and refocused on the fight. The sooner he ended it, the better off everyone would be. Time was his enemy right now. How much time he had left with the spell? 30 minutes? Maybe less? Zalron got up slowly, wiping the blood from his face. I actually felt that one. Looks like you may be an interesting opponent after all. Show me what you've really got, you imbecile. Merrick aimed his fists at the ground, drawing energy out and moving it around his body like a cyclone. The ground cracked at his feet. Chunks of dirt, rock, and tree bark shot straight up and joined the spinning storm. Merrick rose into the air, his power storm increasing. His hair exploded with fire and his eyes lit up blue. He no longer looked like a man, but instead like a god. Once his power vortex had increased to maximum velocity, he aimed his hands at Zalron. Pulling inward, he sent the dark warlock flying into the power storm. Merrick moved himself to float in the center, and then started pulling his enemy toward him, punching him back into the spinning energy. This time, however, when he brought Zalron toward himself, the enemy grabbed onto his shoulders and held firm. My master said you were powerful, but I never expected you to be like this. Zalron cackled loudly. Merrick ignored the man's taunt and instead slammed his head against the enemy's, sending the man flying back into the vortex of power. Then he aimed his hands at the swirling energy and sucked it into his fists. Once complete, he guided his enemy back to himself and then punched as hard as he could. Zalron slammed into the ground a moment later, creating a crater. As Merrick headed for the point of impact, he was met with 4 sets of arms holding on to him from all sides. Taking a glance around, he came to the realization that they were all Zalron. But how could that be possible? The cloning technique was something only talked about in books. Merrick only knew of one person who could use the spell successfully. Zylock Grey. But 4 perfect clones? It was too much. Perhaps even with his dark spell, he was no match for the evil warlock. Was he doomed to become a host to this monster? The main Zalron came before him and threw consecutive punches. Each strike felt like 100 to Merrick. He could feel the vibrations throughout his entire body, as though each of his organs were being rattled by a giant hammer. Yet somehow, he didn't feel pain. Focusing intently, he jumped and spun quickly, kicking each of the clones in the face, freeing himself. Changing his footing, he leaped at the real enemy with an energy sword. Zalron parried him, then phased behind Merrick. He followed up with a swift kick to the man's back. The powerful king flew forward, but stopped his momentum by planting his feet. Then he phased and landed in front of Zalron, throwing dual energy blades against the man quickly and repeatedly. He was blocked at every angle, and a moment later, the clones came at him again. Now, he was blocking 10 blades. He spun and lunged in different directions, in different patterns, blocking each blade as quickly as the next before repositioning himself to get another shot at his main target. Thinking quickly to himself, he aimed at the ground beneath the clones and summoned stone prisons, each of which had 4 stone walls. Once trapping them, he brought down powerful lightning strikes, pushing the imprisoned clones into the earth. With a final move, he seared the ground with fire. Zalron smiled evilly as he paced back and forth. "That was impressive, boy. But I don't think you have what it takes to destroy me. You've given it a valiant effort, but it's been in vain." "I'm far from being done. I'm about to destroy you." Merrick slammed his fists together, sending sparks of energy flying. Zalron let out a low snarl. "Prove it to me." Merrick smiled as he set his feet shoulder-width apart. "As you wish. I'm about to show you a technique that has long been forgotten in this land. It started with my great-grandfather and has been passed on throughout the generations. Feel grateful that you'll get to lay eye on it before you die." Zalron began laughing uncontrollably. "Oh, please show me. I'd like to know what I have to look forward to when I have your body. Go on, Merrick Zane. Show me your power and come at me." He shot forward at lightning speed. Merrick aimed his hands at the ground and created a timed energy barrier release. Each time the Dark Warrior would get close, a brilliant new shield would slam out of the ground and trap him for a few seconds at a time. With his task complete, Merrick bent his legs slightly and focused. A low rumbling sounded. It lasted for a few moments before 4 red, blue, and black square energy pillars shot out of the ground, surrounding him and his opponent. It felt strange to him, not pulling magic into his own body, but simply taking it from the planet and fashioning it into spells. It was definitely easier this way, but he refused to let himself think about it for too long. Too much thought about using dark magic, and he may become something unrecognizable. Merrick raised his hands and clenched them into fists. 2 lines of fiery electricity ripped out of the ground and raced to him, circling around his fists and creating 2 large lion heads. Their mouths were open, and their teeth longer than swords. Once complete, he aimed at each of the 4 pillars and loosened lines of brilliant crimson and azure energy, hitting each top point of the energy columns. Once striking, it formed a full-size lion on each one. Merrick smiled. This could be it. The final attack that would put the Black Hood out of their lives forever. Each of the animated creatures opened their maws, releasing lines of white and yellow energy back at Merrick. It hit him in the chest, forming a glowing ball of power around him that eventually transformed into one ginormous lion head. Merrick forced his fists forward slightly, and it caused a large enemy maw around him to open up. Go back to where you came from, Zoran. Forbidden technique. 4 pillars, lightning fang. The energy from all pillars and animated creatures sucked into Merrick's fists. Just before he released his attack, the eyes of the energy lion around him lit up blue, followed by twin beams of lightning and fire shooting from him, striking Zalron in the chest. The enemy warlock flew halfway across the canyon and slammed into the ground. Multiple explosions occurred, sending back-to-back shockwaves that nearly knocked Merrick off his feet. Hurricane-force winds continued for a few seconds after the initial explosions, but finally died down before becoming still altogether. The stoic king looked at his hands as the residual energy from his attack faded away. He didn't feel exhausted, and he couldn't believe it. Normally that attack would wipe out the strongest of wielders, and yet here I am, ready for another round. Suddenly a loud screech came from the valley. As he looked out, he saw a large purple energy dragon soaring toward him. A bloody dragon? You've got to be kidding me. As he rushed forward, he realized it had become dark outside. He'd been so focused on his fight that the time of day had completely passed him by. Throwing his hand up, he released multiple yellow and orange orbs, giving light to the area. That was impressive, Merrick, Zoran said, cracking his neck. I thought for sure I'd have to resort to my final form after that. You must have received a dark magic protection spell from Zylok, eh? Zalran rushed forward, keeping behind his energy dragon. Go forth and take his power away, he said to his creature. Merrick prepared himself by throwing up 4 barrier walls, then began throwing countless energy blasts and weapons at the creature. When the beast arrived, it slammed its talons into the walls and pushed hard. Merrick fed more energy into them, but to no avail. Spiderweb cracks formed on his shield before shattering out of existence. The dragon swung its head low and chomped its fangs into his flesh. Merrick screamed in agony. It felt like poisonous fire was coursing through his body. Every nerve throbbed, and his eyes went blurry for a moment. But he would not give up. He wouldn't allow the beast to end him. Aiming his hands just beneath the creature's belly, he summoned 4 giant energy whips and attached them to the legs and backside of the dragon. Then he forced himself free, tearing his flesh slightly, but not bad enough that his wife couldn't heal him later. Merrick's breathing labored. The spell neared its end, and he would have to resort to his normal magic. Otherwise, he'd risk killing himself. Now was the time to finish the fight. Zalran chuckled as he aimed his energy dragon and made it disappear. Time to end this, boy. I've had my fun, but I'm growing bored with this senseless fight. Don't worry, though. I'll make it quick. The Black Hood raised his hands to the sky. Purple lightning shot out, latching on to all his soldiers scattered in the field. Merrick phased himself to his enemy, but when he attempted to strike, a thick layer of purple electricity sent him flying back to the ground. Zalron laughed loudly as he continued his ritual. Once his energy whips latched onto one of his soldiers, Their bodies vibrated and smoked before turning to ash. Each time one of his warriors disappeared, Zalran grew in size until he stood over 8 feet tall, and his army was gone. Merrick took a fearful step back. It had already been hard enough trying to fight his opponent when he was of normal size. But now? Could he win? Or would he simply become another victim? He looked back at his wife, who was watching him with heavy concern in her eyes. "I love you, Mary," he shouted at her. "Take care of the children and let them know, how much I love them." Meridian rushed toward the barrier, but Xylock stopped her. She slammed her fists against the energy shield and fought against the old man's strength. "Don't do it, Merrick. I told you to never leave us alone in this world." Xylock held her close and whispered, "He will be fine. Trust me." Merrick turned back to Zalron. "I never thought I'd have to sacrifice myself just to take you down. But it looks like I'm out of options. I refuse to let you continue living. Goodbye, Darkhood." Zalron gnashed his teeth and hissed, "For the last time, it's Lord Zalron." Merrick's body shone with blazing white power as he screamed, struggling to raise his power level. The spell Xylock gave him was gone, along with his stamina. There was a chance he'd die with his next attack, but he didn't care. It was a chance he was willing to take. Anything to protect his family. With focus, he aimed his hands at the ground. A heartbeat later, an energy beam of colossal magnitude shot out of the earth and surrounded him and Zalron. He smiled as he watched the flesh burn off his enemy's face. Unfortunately, when one uses an attack of epic proportion, it doesn't go without consequences. Merrick's body trembled as a few of his bones cracked. A small bit of goo leaked from his right eye before popping like a grape. That's gross. "Ramirez, what's up?" As he felt himself begin to fade, he suddenly stood outside of the power storm, and when he looked down, found an energy whip around his waist. He turned around and found Xylock standing with a smug expression, his right arm glowing with purple energy. "Old man, why?" Xylock released his energy whip and smiled. "Because, lad, there's no reason for you to die. Do you remember the promise I made to you and Meridian when you were kids? I told you I'd never let you die, and I intended to keep that promise." Leaning forward, he hugged the old man. The fight was over. He'd destroyed the enemy and saved his family. Merrick limped towards Xylock until feeling a piercing pain rip through his chest, making him fall to the ground. Blood sprayed from his mouth as he coughed. Zalron limped forward. His entire body was charred like a cooked animal. Every inch of his body appeared like burned wood. As he held his hand to his chest, he tried to understand how his enemy was still alive. "That's not possible. I watched you burn. How are you still alive?" Merrick asked in between coughs. Zalron limped past him, coughing blood onto the ground. "Hi, Mel. How are you?" "I told you before, boy. You can't kill me. Did you think dark magic was going to be your ally? I was born from darkness, you fool. Now, give yourself over to me now, or I'll begin slaughtering everyone here. I'm tired of this pissing match." I refuse to be a pawn for you and your master, Merrick said, attempting to get up. Suit yourself. Zalron aimed his hand at Zylok and released a wave of purple energy. It sent the old man soaring into the barrier shield. Hand burning with purple power, Zalron grabbed the barrier shield. White lines cascaded outward as he ripped it open, easier than tearing a piece of parchment. Then he slammed his other fist into the shield, and the shield disintegrated. Countless soldiers and members of the council stood before him with their hands and weapons raised. Zalron scoffed as he swatted them aside and made his way to Meridian. Merrick crawled toward his family. Everything in his body felt broken, like he was nothing more than a bag of shattered bones. Was this it? Would he have to witness his entire family being slaughtered while he remained helpless on the ground? Swallowing, he forced his cracked and bloodied lips to open. Stay away from my wife, he said, his voice weak. Zalron grabbed Meridian's throat and turned back to him. Last chance, Merrick. I'm done playing games. He moved his free hand toward her chest. Merrick finally got his voice to sound off. All right, stop. I'll do it. Zalron stopped mere inches from Meridian's chest. You'll give yourself to me willingly? No more games? Yes, you have my word. As long as you leave them alone, I'm yours. Merrick dropped his head in defeat, tears falling freely. Merrick, don't do this, Meridian pleaded. We can find another way. Zalron slapped her across the face and threw her to the ground. Silence, wench. Never interrupt a god. He moved toward Merrick slowly, an evil smile spreading across his burned and broken face. This is going to be fun, boy. A whole new life for both of us. Well, mostly for me. But I'll let you come out to play sometimes, if you behave. Now don't move. This will only take a moment. Merrick sat on the ground, broken and defeated. He'd done everything in his power to save his home, and he'd failed. Despite allowing Zylok to assist him with a dark spell, it still failed. He lifted his head to the sky and watched as his new master approached him. Please, gods, protect my family. Keep everyone in this kingdom safe. I've failed, but it's not too late for someone else to succeed. He stared at his wife as Zalron grabbed his head. While his vision faded to black, he could hear everyone screaming at the Black Hood to stop. But it was too late. Finally, everything became silent, and Merrick was surrounded by a sea of darkness. From all around, voices whispered to him. Horrifying snarls of monsters and creatures sounded in the darkness, and all he could do was cry. He felt like a helpless child, trapped inside his own body with no means of escape. He dropped to his knees and allowed the pain to take hold of him. Anything was better than the empty silence of misery. He continued thinking the same thing as he rocked back and forth. It's all my fault. As he continued torturing himself for what felt like an eternity, he stopped. A bright light shone in, and within a matter of seconds he was looking out of his own eyes again. He was looking at a crowd of frightened people. However, Merrick couldn't remember why. Something in his brain was off, and as he held his hand out to his comrades, he found them backing away. He took a step back before smiling. Except, it wasn't his own choice. It was like his body had a mind of its own. What seems to be the problem? he asked everyone as he stepped toward his friends. And that's the end of chapter 16. All right, what'd I miss? Mal's here, hi Bookie, and Rhino's here. Good to see you. I just woke from a nap. How are you? I'm tired. I could use a nap. But I'm doing all right. Damn, I just got here and all I hear is silence, wench. That's right, Yue. But I wasn't talking to you. I would never call you a wench. That's just rude. It's good to see you, though. How are you? And Ramirez, it's good to see you as well. I hope everyone's doing all right. Nobody name calls the girly pop? What? That's some good tea. My throat definitely feels a bit more froggy. Brr. Ribbit. You're great. Happy to be here. I'm glad you're here. It's happy to see a nice, smiling VTuber face. What kind of tea is it? The same kind I always drink. Black tea with milk and sugar. Just the way the British intended. So wouldn't it be grey tea? No, it's not Earl Grey. It's like English breakfast, essentially. Earl Grey is quite different indeed. Oh, boy. So, Merrick tried to use black magic to fight Lord Zalron, the Black Hood, and it failed. But this isn't a surprise. We knew that it would fail. The reason we knew it would fail is because earlier in the book, we see his son, Eliath, have a glimpse into the future, or kind of like the past, where he was on a battlefield and he was the one fighting what would be the Black Hood. So it's my understanding, or at least my interpretation, that Eliath, it's his destiny. It's Eliath's destiny to be the one to actually destroy the Black Hood once and for all. What I didn't expect was for Lord Zalron to take Merrick's body as his host. Didn't see that coming. Not at all. I said gray because black tea with milk. Forgive, my brain is rebooting. Oh, you like it turned it gray? I see. It's more, yeah, I can kind of see gray. Sometimes, depending on how much milk I put in, sometimes it looks more like caramel. Definitely without the caramel flavor. Either way, so tasty. By the way, I have decided, just as a reminder, that when we do hit the 750 followers, which is only 16 more to go, that special stream is going to be of Once Human, because I love that game. It's a fantastic game. I've been playing quite a bit in my off time, and I really like it. Didn't think I would, but I do. I'm a fan. Not complaining. What is this? Oh, never mind. Lurk refresh. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. I hope everyone's ready for the week coming up. I know for me, there's lots of stuff happening with my work. Let's see, it'll be the 22nd tomorrow. One more week until, well, just about one more week until we jump into August already. That's crazy. It feels like summer is just slipping by. Poof, gone. But yeah, there's lots going on at work right now. I got 2 clients that I'm implementing at the same time. One goes live in like 2.5, 3 weeks. The other one a couple of weeks later after that. We're building new software that I'm testing and helping kind of guide that process. It's nuts. Just released some new stuff. We got a trade show coming up in October as well, along with some other work trip stuff. It's just a lot going on. I don't want summer to end. Yeah, but it has to. Prepping for the annual camping trip. Nice. That should be a lot of fun. Sounds very busy. It has been, yeah. But busy isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes busy is good. It just depends on the kind of busy. So, if it's everyone working together and, all striving toward the same happy goal, then busy is great. But if it's a mad dash and it feels like the house is on fire because nobody knows what everybody else is doing, not so great. Busy is good until you're burned out, and then there's that too. It's important to take mental breaks when you're busy. Super important. Because if you burn out, then you're no use to everybody else. So I make sure to do that when I'm busy. Like just last week, we ended the week very busy. My CEO wanted to talk to me after hours, but I said, I can't. We were going out to dinner. We went to a movie, and I was like, nope, I'm done with work for now. Now, I caught up with some other work on yesterday. Kind of finished a few things off. Just kind of polished it up a little bit. But that's only so that I didn't have to do it Monday morning. I wanted to get it out of my head, you know what I mean? And focus on other things come Monday. So, it's just one of those things. You're going to see Twisters tomorrow. It's going to be good. The only thing I was disappointed in was the movie theater itself. So, I saw it early, and it was supposed to be an IMAX. The cinema we went to claimed to have an IMAX screen, but it didn't really feel like much of an IMAX screen. Was it a little bigger? Yes. But I've been to a genuine IMAX before, and this was nothing like that at all. So I was a little disappointed in the whole display of the movie, how it was shown. But the movie itself, loved it. It was really good. And I'd certainly see it again. I'm making plans to go see Deadpool and Wolverine with some friends soon. So that's going to be fun. And then there's a couple other movies coming out as time goes on in the year. I'm going to go see the new animated Transformers movie. I'm going to take the kid to see that. He's very excited. If any of you have watched the musical Wicked, that's coming out as a movie at Thanksgiving. That should be really cool. I want to watch Beetlejuice when it comes out in September. Yeah, I don't really care about Beetlejuice. I did see the first one, but I don't care. Good, the trailers look good, and I love disaster movies. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And you love Wicked, favorite musical? Yes, so I'm going to watch the movie. Hopefully it doesn't disappoint, but I don't expect it to be like the musical. I expect it to just be a good movie. So, Stepmom and I are huge Wicked fans. It was great. That was actually the first musical I ever saw. I didn't think I'd like it, but I went with my wife and her parents years ago. I can't remember exactly when. I loved it. It was amazing. And I'm fine with going to any more musicals from here on out, to be honest. But once we saw it was coming out as a movie, I was like, of course we're going to see it. Like, are you kidding? Looks like it's going to be really good. It's got some actors and actresses that I like. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Waitress the Musical? I don't think I ever saw that one. Yeah, I don't think I ever saw that. I haven't been to many musicals at all, which is unfortunate. Timing, money, where they're showing. I'm trying to remember where we went to see Wicked all those years ago. I don't remember if it was in Illinois. I'll have to ask. I don't remember. All right. Let me just take a look at this next chapter here. It's going to be a short stream tonight, guys. I apologize. I am super tired. In fact, chapter 17 looks to be pretty long. It's a little bit longer than usual. I've always been into musicals. I just YouTube it. Well, I guess you could do that. So I know we're here to read a book, but I'm just super tired. I might call it after this chapter. I hate to say that, but my body is just worn out. I'm totally fine just sitting here and chatting, though. Absolutely. My eyes are having a problem focusing on the words without needing more help and squinting and stuff. So, I think my eyes are just tired. I'm not physically tired. I'm just like from here up. My eyes and my brain. It's fine. You need your rest. Listen to your body. Yeah, I know. It's just disappointing because I look forward to reading every time. But the last few days, I've just been wiped. Like, I've been able to do things physically. Just my brain is tired. It is what it is. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I just feel bad. This is a long book, and not that that's a problem, but I feel like it's taking us a long time just to get through portions of it. We're only 170 pages in out of 500. I felt that. I felt super tired yesterday and today for no reason. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if it's the weather or my medications or just me, I do have these waves, and my doctor doesn't think this is a real thing, but he's not living in my body. I am. I'll go through these waves, these cycles of sometimes I feel like really energetic all the time and I could do anything. And then I have these other slumps where I start to feel like I'm going downhill and I'm just tired forever. And then eventually I come out of it and I'm fine. So, I don't know. He says it's not anything to do with my condition, with my heart stuff. He said it's just, whatever. Exercise, sleep, food, the whole 9 yards. It's the moon and the planets. I'm on a new med that makes me a little loopy. Hey, nothing wrong with being loopy. Sounds very relatable. Yeah, I don't, it's, and maybe it isn't the heart specifically. Maybe it's not, and that's fine. But it doesn't mean it's not happening. And it makes things at work pretty difficult because I'll lose focus. I just want to nap all the time. It's difficult. Like right now, I could go to bed. I really could. I'm not going to, obviously, but it would be pretty easy. I wanted to nap all day today. As messed up as that sounds. And I've also thought with the streaming stuff, maybe, I've been reading a book nonstop for months. So I am getting to that point where I need to take a break and do something else for a couple of streams before I get back into reading again. Sometimes I need that mental disconnect so that I don't not burn myself out, but so I don't lose the edge of what I can do with the book, if that makes sense. I don't know. It sounds like you're either burned out or when I get seasonal depression. It could be, except that usually happens in the winter for me, not in the summer. I took my usual Sunday nap after lunch. Oh, I bet that was wonderful. I mean, I even shaved my face today. I got these rings on. New rings. Stainless steel. I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't have shaved as much as I did. It's trimmed. It's not like completely bare. It's just kind of that rough feel to it. It's a self-defense mechanism. I can scratch you. Mine happens randomly. I lose my appetite and everything. Wow. I mean, I guess I've been known to eat less, just not be as hungry. But I wouldn't say I lose it completely. Scruffy? Yeah, but like a maintained scruffy. I was scruffy before. That was like, because I can't grow like a full-on, like, big beard. That's not happening. Never have been able to, never will. But I do like to have a little bit of, a little bit of something. A little scruff here and there. Gosh. Now I'm just rambling. That's the problem. I don't want to end stream because I like hanging out. I don't like beards. They look itchy. Yeah, well, I've never been able to grow a beard, so I can grow hairs, and a lot of them are clumped together, but it never looks like a full-on beard. I look like I never could. And I never will. But like I said, that's okay. I'm surrounded by bearded men. So you're used to it. You probably freak out if they all showed up at your house without their beards. You probably wouldn't even recognize them. Oh boy. You know what's really dumb? I just thought about this. When my son goes back to school, he goes back on a Friday. So he'll do one day and then have the weekend and then come back. Like, why? The son looks very young without a beard. The kids have never seen my hubby without a beard. Wow, I bet that would freak him out. That's stupid. Why on a Friday? On a Friday? I know. Like, whose genius idea was that? And how many kids' parents are going to skip that day, I wonder. That was dumb. Let's come back on a Friday. A Thursday? Maybe. Maybe. Just so you can get those 2 days to, get yourself reacclimated to the schedule. Say hi to people you haven't seen, maybe. Whatever. See your new teacher. Get used to them. Because my son, he's only 8 years old. So he can only skip if we let him skip. Which we won't be. But yeah, use those 2 days to get kind of reacquainted and then come back on Monday fresh and ready to go. But a Friday? Why bother? What is the point? I don't get it. I do not get it. Makes no sense. Third grade sounds tough. He's actually been doing really, really well in school. He had a really good second grade. I'm excited to see what comes of third grade. And even this summer, he's done like a math camp a couple times. It's like a half-day camp for 3 or 4 days at a time. And he's done really well with that. So I really am encouraged. And I hope that there's something within third grade that starts to really challenge him to where he comes home and goes, man, this is tough. Because he hasn't really had that too much knock on desk. So we'll have to see. The Grands will be in 6th and 4th this year. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, and then of course, later this year, in December, we'll be moving into our new home that's being built. So we'll see. Do you think he might be gifted? No, I don't think he's quite that level of nailing it. He's just good at asking the right questions and picking things up quickly so far. When I was younger, I was pretty good at math too. My problem was that after a while, I don't know if it was my teacher or just me, but I got disinterested, and then I just kind of stopped caring and therefore stopped doing. And math is one of those things where if you don't do it, you lose it. It's not like riding a bike. At least it wasn't for me. How exciting. I want a home so bad. UA, are you not living in a home. I feel like you have internet. So he's more common sense than the rest. Yeah, he's got good logic, and math has rules, and he likes rules. So I think that helps too. But he's just good with numbers. Plus, we started him off early with stuff on Netflix that was geared towards math and numbers. It was called Number Blocks. It was perfect for kids, especially during COVID. Fantastic. Gave him such a huge head start. I've been afraid of math my whole life. Said that wrong. It's the Spanish in me. I live in an apartment. I want a house. Okay. That makes more sense. Right, because I know you're on the East Coast somewhere. I did the apartment thing when I was younger. That was before I really understood what money was and how it was meant to be used properly. That ended up in me not having an apartment and being without a home. But I was in a band and I lived with the band, so it all worked out, sort of. I know Number Blocks. Chloe loved it. Yeah. Number Blocks was amazing. It's still out. I think they're getting rid of it, though. The Grands are both gifted in the math department. I'm not surprised, given what I've seen when I've encountered them at your daughter's house. I am not surprised by that at all. This tea is good. I'm not teasing your English. You English just fine. But yeah, apartment living, or I should say switching from an apartment to a house can certainly be a challenge if you're not set up correctly, or if you don't have the right people in your corner to kind of get you there. It's hard to spend on paying for the apartment and to save for a house at the same time. Super difficult. So I feel you there. I really do. But at the same time, home ownership isn't, as cracked up as everyone claims it to be. I've been aware of money since I was a kid, grew up poor, so now I'm crazy about saving up. It is, but I know I can do it. Well, I know you can too. That's great. I'm sorry that it was under the circumstances that it was, but I'm glad that you've kind of got a better grip on the financial stuff, probably more than most, to be honest. Before I knew what Twitch was, years before that, I had an LLC. I had my own little small business. I called it Small Pig. I called it that because it was fashioned around a little piggy bank. And what I would do is I would sit down with people and teach them about personal finances. I would help them understand the money coming in, the money going out, savings and credit, and how all those things play together so that at the end of the day, they could pay their bills stress-free. I had a stress-free bill pay plan, if you will. And then how they could either repair and or grow their credit at the same time. That was kind of my thing. I ended up dissolving the LLC and shutting down the business just because, shockingly, people didn't want to pay me to talk about their money. Which I understand. Money is a tough subject, and for some people it's even like taboo. We don't talk about money. So now I do it on the side. So if anyone's ever like, oh man, blah blah blah, I will sit down with them and I talk to them and I show them my little presentation and how I organize things and how they can help themselves get out of debt and grow their credit and yada, yada, yada. And it's been pretty good. So I enjoy doing it as a volunteer thing, if you will. My credit is good, thankfully. That's good. People get offended so easily. That's true, yeah. With owning a home, there's always something that needs tending to. Don't remind me. Snoozing the ad one last time. That needs to be a course in every high school. Yes, it does. I agree. I wish it were. Because the thing that I came up with that helped the business be what it was came out of necessity. You know, my wife and I, we were going into the red all the time. We had no clue about how to handle our finances. This was like real early on in our marriage, our relationship, everything. And then one day I was driving to work and I had this light bulb moment. Just this lightning strike of an idea hit me on my commute. By the end of my work shift, I held on to that thing. I raced home. I said, okay, here's what I'd like to try. The worst thing is we end up no better off than we are now. The best thing is we've solved our issue and we can get finally, get a grip and move in the right direction. So we did it and we never looked back. The process that I kind of set up, we've been using it ever since. So probably 16, 17 years now, give or take. And it's worked like a charm. And it's simple, but it's so effective. So that's my story. That's kind of how it all came to be. But yeah, a lot of people out there are like, oh, I just pay cash for everything. I'm like, that's great if you can. But paying cash for everything means you don't have any credit built up. And if and when the time comes that you need to borrow, your credit's going to be either really bad or they just won't lend to you. And then you're going to be confused as to why. I hope that the housing market crashes with all the politics going on right now. It won't. It definitely won't. But I like where your head's at. Although I say that, thankfully we just got an offer in on my current house and we've accepted it. So it's sold, ready in time for the moment that we need to move out once our new house is built. But yeah, the interest rate is, well, the interest rate won't matter because we're doing cash, thankfully, but it would have sucked. I do want to refinance my car so the interest drops. Yeah, so the thing you have to be careful about there is that even though your payment may be lower and you're saving a little extra money each month, you're basically just restarting your loan. I don't know how far you are into it right now, but let's say you're halfway through. Let's say you've got 3 years left or something like that. If you refinance now, yes, you might save $50 or $100 extra a month, but your loan is going to start over at 6 years. So what you may be saving per month short term, you will end up paying back more over the time frame. It's been months, so I'm not even halfway there. Okay, that's the thing. If you're just into it, like just getting into your loan, very early stages, then yes, it would make sense. Because that way you haven't already paid off a bunch, and then you can get your payment lowered. But if you're too far in, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. I want to understand you, but it's not making sense in my head. How long is your loan? Like, what's the term? Is it 5 years, 6 years? How long are you on the hook, as they say? And we have an ad starting in a minute. I've used up all of my snoozes. I cannot stop it. I forgot law was 73 months. Okay, so 60 months is 5 years. 72 is, it's probably 72, which is 6 years. If you were 3 years into your 6-year loan, that's halfway through. Okay, let's say you have 36 months remaining to pay off, and you've paid 36 months worth. If for some reason you decided to finance at that point, let's say hypothetically you saved an extra $50 per month with that refinance, your payment drops by $50. That's fine on paper. But what's actually happening, the 3 years that you had left have now turned into 6 years because you've refinanced. You're basically taking out a new loan. So you've already paid, call it $300 a month for 36 months. Now you're going to pay $250, but you're going to pay $250 for 6 years, for 72 months. So you have to ask yourself, is it cheaper just to keep paying $300 for 36 months? Or should I pay $250 for 72? Those are hypothetical numbers. So it only makes ad. Okay. We'll be right back after these commercial messages. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, the ad was over? All right, cool. I don't know what you heard, but I'll basically recap what I was saying.
Drink!
Thank you. If you refinance halfway through your 6-year loan, let's say your payment was $300 and it drops to $250. Refinancing doesn't mean you're just going to pay off the last 3 years. Refinancing gives you a whole new loan. So now you're taking, let's say you drop it by $50 per payment, so you went from $300 to $250. You have to ask yourself, is it going to cost more to pay $250 for 6 years or $300 for 3 years? Those are hypothetical numbers, hypothetical timeframes, but it only makes sense to refinance if you are at the beginning stretch of your loan. Because if you're not, you probably end up going to be paying more over a longer period of time. And not only that, the kicker is now, by the time you've paid off your loan and you own the car, it is now that much older in years with that much more miles on it. So if you wanted to sell it, your the value of the car has now likely decreased even more, just because you've been using it a lot more. But the point of refinancing will be lowering your APR. It shouldn't be messing with your total debt. Yes, you're lowering your APR, but you're getting a new loan. So you are messing with your total debt in that regard. You're wiping away the old loan, yes, but now you're getting a brand new one. So it really just depends on how far in the process you are and how much you can reduce the payment by. And if those two don't line up, it may not be worth it. The one thing I always tell people to do, no matter what kind of loan it is, if it's mortgage, car, business, you name it, if you're paying something back, just pay more. But don't pay more at any odd time. It has the most impact if your payment is on the first of the month, for example. In the middle of the month, pay a little extra. That extra goes towards the principal. The lower the principal, the less the interest will impact you. The house I'm in right now has a 5-1 arm. It's a 20-year mortgage. The type of mortgage doesn't matter. The main thing is it's a 20-year mortgage. If we were staying here and seeing it through, we'd actually have this house paid off in about 11 years, not 20, because of the extra that we pay. So anytime you get a loan and you're like, what can I afford? Don't think about the maximum ceiling of what you can pay. Think about what I can get away with on the lower end so that I can then pay extra to help get rid of my loan faster. 20 years doesn't sound that horrible, but still 20 years. I mean, I don't know how old you are, UA, but think about how old you'll be in 20 years' time, knowing that you would have paid a mortgage for that entire time. If you could knock off 5 to 10 years of that mortgage, you will have saved a ton in interest payments. A ton. What scares me about housing is all the extras that you have to pay, like water, electrical, Wi-Fi, sewage, trash. Yeah, that is definitely part of it. That's part of the budgeting process. When you're coming together with, how much house can I afford? It's not just the mortgage that you have to think about. You have to put together your bills. And to do that, you can talk to your real estate agent about, what do things usually cost in the area. You can talk to other homeowners in an area that you're looking at. You're right, but I've known family that have been doing that mortgage for like 40 years, which is nuts. So those people probably have a more traditional 30-year mortgage, and then they could have refinanced some of it or taken out a line of equity on their home, which has added more time. So or they refinanced at some point and turned 30 into 40, who knows? There's lots of different ways that you could have made the time stretch out. We couldn't get a traditional 30-year mortgage on this home. Otherwise, we probably would have, because it would have been a little bit cheaper per month. Either way, we still would have paid extra, regardless, because you don't want that loan to stick around. You want to get it gone. But UA, I know you said you're good, but if you ever want to sit down with me on a call where I can put together a little sheet for you that you can use, I'd be happy to do that. I really would. It'll help you with your day-to-day. It'll get you kind of grounded in what you have, or at least at minimum confirm what you already know. But it's also a good place to branch forward so that when you do start to think about a house and taking on those extra expenses, you'll be way more prepared. So you just let me know. The closing costs? Well, when that time comes, your realtor and your bank, whoever it is that you're using to help with the financing process, should be able to tell you all about what the closing costs might be. Depends on the house and, how much you're putting down and all that kind of stuff. We need to sit down and talk about voice acting as well. Yes, we do. So we could do a dual thing. We could go over the finance stuff. We could talk about voice acting. Could be a party. So just reach out, okay? We'll sit down. And by the way, anyone I talk to about the financing is strictly confidential. And I mean that in the utmost of whatever I can say to affirm that. I don't even tell my family who I talk to about finances. They might know I'm going to have a talk to someone, have a chat with someone about finances, but I don't tell them what. I don't tell them who. All of that stays with me and the person I'm talking to. Or I've sat down and talked with couples before as well. Doesn't matter. It's all confidential. I treat it with the utmost respect, no judgment. It's a tough subject for some people, and I get it. I'm here to help, not to make fun of or poke, because we've all been there. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. But yeah, I feel like I've been chattering on for long enough. Should we find someone to go say hello to? Shall we? Who do people talk? Excuse me. Who do people talk with to know if they qualify for a house? You would talk to the bank. They will help you understand how much you can actually borrow. But, and I say this with a big B-U-T, it has been my experience that banks will provide you with way more financing than you actually can afford, because they don't take into consideration specific things that you're going to have to pay for on top of the mortgage. Okay? So it's good to know what you're allowed to borrow, right? But that doesn't mean you need to borrow all of it. And that's why we should sit down, because then we can go over things and kind of put a plan together, all right? But in your own time. I'm not gonna ping you every day and be like, hey, should we set up a time? Should we set up a time? What's your calendar look like? Should we set up a time? I'm not gonna pursue you. When it comes to this subject, I let people pursue me, and then we schedule something, because it has to be something you want to do. I'm not going to force anybody into anything. I just mean, like, if I walk into a house and the realtor says, are you pre-qualified? Yeah, that's where the bank comes in. You just go to the bank, whatever bank you use, and you say, hey, I want to talk to a loan officer about getting pre-qualified to buy a house. And they will sit you down with someone, and they will ask you a whole bunch of questions and talk to you about your money. And then you can get an idea of what it is you're allowed to buy. Or spend, I should say. But yes, stream, people. Let me see who's on. Because we do have some people on. Yes, we do. I bet they run my credit score and make it drop. They will have to eventually, but it will only drop for about 3 months, and then it will come back up. Anytime your credit gets pinged in that way, it's called a hard check. It only drops for a little while, and then it comes up again. And the main reason is so that people don't just get their credit pinged all the time and never have it suffer, because that wouldn't help at all. So it's a short-term ding on your credit. So yeah, it's not too bad. Just like when you open a new credit card or buy, like, get that car loan, like your credit will drop for a few months, but then it will come back up because you used your credit. All right. My buddy Here There Be Monsters is streaming as a roleplay character in Grand Theft Auto. He's a medic, and I never get to raid him when he's doing this. So we will. I appreciate you guys sticking around tonight. I know this has not been a typical Sunday with me at all. We read one chapter and then we chatted. And not that I've had a problem with that. I've enjoyed it all. I just apologize for not getting into the book as much. Yeah, I don't know. I got to figure myself out. But we'll get there. We will get there. Thank you again for being here. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we will see you next time. Good night.